Okay, this is going to be the end of the project. I'm finally done video for my Concours. I'll skip to the fuel cell first, I suppose. This is my second generation mount. The first generation mount's over there. I might use it on one of these bikes for like vintage rides, vintage long distance rides once I get it done. But my second generation mount, I took some 3/8 flat and I used it to replace the bushings that were holding up my SW Motec rack. And then I took a piece of quarter, heated the shit out of it, and gave it a twist. I drilled and tapped the 3/8 for this bolt, and what this bar does, it just holds the fuel cell from going left and right and back and forward. The weight of this whole fuel cell system is held up by this plate, and it just presses down on the seat. So all the weight is on the seat. These are just kind of locator bars to keep it from shifting. I've got polyglass on top of braided stainless steel hose here. And that's just to keep the hose from catching on my clothes on the seat, rubbing against the paint, rubbing against things under the seat when it's stored. I've got a quick connect adapter here. Goes into a 90, a fuel filter, and a valve that I got from McMaster Car. You can order from them online. They're usually an industrial supplier, but anybody can order from them. It's a 90-degree valve with male on each end, male threads. And I just used an NPT to AN adapter to go to this filter. This is a custom tank. You can't just buy this exact tank from coyotegear.com. That is not a normal bung location. I had a custom tank made for that, and I also had the filler neck extended. I did not hook up my vent line because I did go for about a 250-mile shakedown run today, so my catch can has not been tested. I started out with about a half a tank, and when it got down to low fuel and it flashed the warning, I turned this valve and it all drained in there and it worked great. One thing about this valve is I had to shorten the handle quite a bit. It's up off the seat about 4 inches, but this is a very long handled valve. I cut it down and ground a new end on it so I could use it. I still need to get nylock nuts for the top here, but the reason I made this one longer is so I can slide the neck through it. But those held up, so if I have to I can ride with those, but otherwise I'm going to put nylon lock nuts on there. Other modifications I've done to the bike that aren't holding up, well, that is holding up. Modifications I've done that aren't holding up. The bolts, which I bought because I'm using the center mount and GPS mount, and I'm using bar risers. Those rusted a little bit. Just cosmetics. I'll have to paint them. The GPS does really well here. I can always just glance at it just real quick. I don't really take my eyes off the road that much, so I like it there. I've got grip donuts off a dirt bike on here. I don't know if I'll keep those on there. Just something that came free when I bought some stuff. I threw them on there. I've got foam grip covers that are doing well. The heated grips go right through these, so that's good. Got my Kory wrap throttle rocker. It does really well. It hasn't let me down yet. I've had this on every bike I've ever owned. The Versus, it wasn't on there very long because I had put Kory on it, but that's been on every bike I've ever owned. They're only like $13, I think. They're great for relieving your hands a little bit. I put the factory bar end weights back on because the throttle meisters would not work. When you had the heated grips on, they'd bind up against the throttle meisters and then your throttle would stick. So that had to go. The Vortex fuel cap vents really well with my auxiliary system. If you can see over there, I wrote Concours fell here. My Concours actually fell over on me, so I got to test the crash bars on that side. They worked well. These pegs have about 100 miles of passenger time on them. She hasn't complained, so I assume they're better than the factory ones. I've got my Astra coup case on here. I've got that all wired up for power. The only problem is I can't really open this all the way with my fuel cell there, but I can open it up enough to get into it. So that's an issue, but I can work around it. If I took this off, I'm sure I could open it more, but whatever. I can get in there, that's the important part. That catch can has not been tested, that's my only real concern, but all I really have to do now is clean it. You know, since I live in town now, it won't really get that dirty again, but I need to figure out how to strap a hydration pack to here before I go on my motorcycle rally also. I've got holes in here, front and back, that I put in there for tie-down points. I drilled the other first generation mount full of holes because I wanted to make it lighter, because the base plate was so heavy. But I've just put zip ties through those front holes to kind of hold this back away from me, so it works. I got that quick disconnect, it just slips out of there and under the seat if I don't want this on here. To remove this, it's just quick connect, pull the hose off of the vent tank, or take the vent tank off with 2 bolts, and then the 2 bolts that hold the fuel cell on, and then it's off. So I did put a fender extender on. It seems to be working. The only thing I have yet to do on this, besides a hydration pack, I'm gonna try and put like a sheep wool seat cover on here, because I sweat easily and it gets uncomfortable. But the Sargent seat is stiff, but I like it. It's comfortable. I'm gonna try the factory windshield for an entire riding season just to figure out if I want to keep it or if I want to upgrade to a Cal-Si that's a little wider and a little taller, because this factory windshield, I've noticed if I'm sitting upright, it kind of clips the top of my head a little bit. The wind does anyway. One thing I also did was change this so when I start it, the windshield automatically goes to full up position. That's because I always have it up. I might as well just have it do it automatically. I did change the exhaust also. It's a Vance & Hines CS1. I had a CS1 on my Versys, which sounded great, but it didn't really work with my luggage. For something that's basically a wide open pipe, it's not that loud. It has a great sound, and it is pretty much wide open. Cruising speed, I can barely hear it. The only time I ever hear this pipe is when I really get on it. So that's kind of what I did this winter on my touring bike. You can look forward to actual riding from my YouTube channel now. I'm still going to be doing some build stuff. I always got to have a project going, but it is riding season now, so I'm going to stop talking and go ride some more.